lick my cream pie and
I thought they were just doing that to be fancy.
oh no.
Oh my
It would
God.
be so much easier. I mean, how do you get sexy without pussy and dick and fuck?
That was
Can't
my,
say.
instead of looking at Playboy magazines, that's what I would go to my grandma's house on the weekends, and after they went to bed, I would call phone sex lines.
Oh.
In my youth, that was the equivalent of me peeking at Playboys. I never got magazines. I always liked the voice thing.
Interesting.
But that sucks.
Yeah,
I never knew that.
No, we were not trying to be fancy.
Oh my God.
Were monitored by the FCC.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of genius. I mean,
well,
not for the callers, but like for the guys, for the people making the business. Like that's sticking that in there like that. That's damn.
Okay, well, feel free to cut that part out.
Enough porno talk.
Little porn talk. It's usually how we start the Badass Bookworm, and I am your Badass Bookworm, Cassandra Dallett.
Yes.
Yeah, we have both. We'll see how things come out, and show your shirt.
Should I show my shirt?
So I have
better than showing my face. Let me tell you that right now.
Definitely.
Look at this.
I don't agree because I like your face very much. Josiah Luis Alderate is with me today. We have done a podcast once before in the past.
Yes,
I don't know if I got it pulled over off the record. I think it's still under 75 Girls Records if anybody wants to look for it.
Okay. Yep.
Of us hanging out and talking about your poetry, your reading series, and going way back. San Francisco.
The good old days in San Pancho,
Yeah. We talked about all that. So I asked you, and we tried to put together like a group of people, but it's just too hard when everybody's so busy. And it was kind of last minute.
Yeah. It's a working artists. They got jobs and stuff.
Yeah, no, we all got day jobs.
Yeah, it's true.
I kind of fucked mine up today, but yeah.
There's always another day job.
Oof, no.
Okay.
No, I care for people. Like you can't. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I'm a book guy, so if I drop a book, it's cool. If you drop a person, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, and we were just talking about the book buying and the readings and things favored by that bookstore. So that's also an interesting topic.
Oh man,
you're right in the middle of it.
It's a good place to be. City Lights with weird stuff happening.
Yeah, well, location wise too, just kind of entertaining every day. Right?
Oh my God, yeah,
I spent a lot of my youth in that neighborhood.
Yeah. No, that was Specs. I think was the second bar I would sneak into underage when they let me in there. But yeah.
So I wanted to talk about the controversy around the book American Dirt. Look, I'm so unprepared. I can't even think of the lady's name that wrote it.
Jean Ann Cummins, a.k.a. La Bendeja.
Oh.
Oops. Yeah, but it's true.
Okay, well,
yes.
That's what I want to talk about. I first heard about it only because a mutual friend, Matt Cidio, was posting about it. A quote from him even got into the Washington Post.
New York Times.
Or New York Times?
I think it was New York Times. Washington Post, yeah.
Yeah, he just sent it to me a few minutes ago. And then that made its way into a lot of things. So that was cool. And so I saw him and his partner, Karina, posting a lot about it. And then I saw you posting it, and I said, what is happening? What is this book? Yeah. And then I saw it on TMZ or, I don't know, the news or whatever, CNN maybe, where Oprah had it as her book of the month. Yeah. And was surprised by there being backlash and controversy around it. So I was like, I want to know more. I want to ask my people who know and have strong thoughts. And we did try to get some more people, but we got us, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. So first off, for your viewers that don't know about it, the book is basically a gross misrepresentation of Latinos and the migrant experience. And I would even go so far as to call it, well, not only a bad piece of written fiction, but it's also an awful piece of like Trump propaganda, because it basically takes all of the stereotypes of the Latino as boogeyman, as other, that exist in Trump's America and has existed for years here, and sort of just uses them as the foundation of the book. The book is written by a white woman who basically writes a story about a Mexican mom whose entire familia, by the third page, by the way, is wiped out by a drug cartel in Acapulco at a quinceañera. So from there, the book progresses to like basically document the mom and her child's like crossing into, you know, los Estados Unidos and all the stereotypical experiences that happen. So yeah, this was written by Jean Ann Cummins, and basically, you know, it sparked this insane. I don't even want to call it like a literary scandal anymore. I think it's honestly, Miriam Gerber calls it a cultural inflection point, because I really feel that's what it is. Because, you know, anyone can write a piece of bad fiction. That's fine. But basically what this woman, Jean Ann Cummins, did, and her publishers, they basically set her up as a spokesman for brown folks and the experience that they have crossing, you know. The book has been, I work at City Lights, so we got the ARC, the Advanced Reader's Copy, a couple months back. You know, and then the ARCs, usually what happens is the publisher will include kind of like a form letter or something like that, you know. And in the form letter, you know, I opened it and I couldn't believe it. The publisher was saying that this is a book written, quote, the author, to give a voice to the faceless brown masses. You know, it was being called the grapes of wrath for our time, you know.
Yeah.
All these insane blurbs, you know, and even in the afterwards that Jean Ann Cummins wrote, she says she wishes someone browner than her had written this story, but since no one had, it was up to her to write it, you know. And I'm thinking, bendeja, you know how many brown authors have already written this story already, you know. But so the book, while it like I said, the first cycle of it is you know, sort of culturally the reaction of the Latino and the American population to the book. But what has happened now is it's turned into a much greater thing, and it's sort of brought up the ideas of Latinx and black and brown representation in publishing, you know, what this is for like Latinos to stand up, because that's the other beautiful thing, is that the Latino community has responded in so many powerful and positive ways. So, you know, we are here to talk about the book, and that's kind of like a very sloppy synopsis of it. But more importantly, we got to talk about like the effects of what we're doing because of the book, and the way the Latino community has sort of taken the narrative away, you know. So it's yeah, there's a lot to it. There really is. Yeah, there's a lot to it. Not just a badly written book by a white woman misrepresenting us, but what that book actually represents in our cultures.
Yeah. Okay. Disclaimer: I have not read the book, so I can't have vicious commentary because I haven't actually read it. But I did hear that from you, that it was poorly written. I heard Michael Eric Dyson, who's
well, I had to read it. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right. You said it was a hate read, but nonetheless. But even I was with the writer earlier today who was saying she, just from excerpts, the writing is very poor.
Oh God, it's so awful. And basically what it is, Cassandra, this is no exaggeration. And again, going back to that idea of like, anybody can write a bad novel. It's fine. We have entire sections in bookstores, you know, related to them, you know, like, you know, this is basically a white woman fantasy of being Mexican. Mm-hmm. Because basically this woman takes a character who in no way represents like the average person crossing. This is a Mexican bookstore owner, a middle-class bookstore owner, who is married to a reporter, and the bookstore owner begins to flirt with the local narco jefe of the town, kind of having a little flirty relationship with him. And this narco later on in the book ends up killing her husband because he writes a story about him exposing, you know, so it's like this very romanticized view. It's like, you know, you can almost like, and by the way, there's already a movie deal going on, so you can already almost see Antonio Banderas playing the handsome narco, you know, and like,
yeah, it's more like Queen of the South.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like, you know, let's give it to her, man. She's given birth to like the narco romance genre, you know. I mean, they have like don't they have like Amish romance, the genre?
Yes,
so this is like a whole new genre. So if she would have just
because they can't really get it on, they got to write about all that wishing and wanting.
But this is you know, she could have left it at that. She could have just left it at that, and it would have maybe just been fine. But she stood up on a pedestal and, you know, declared herself the spokesperson for this for the faceless brown masses.
She did
and,
not.
And
they
the publishers,
did that to her.
Yeah, no. The publishers are geniuses, and they did a lot of. But they're also, and if you watch her interviews, she's at the point now where she's sort of like, well, she's actually, this is a quote. She said, "I wrote the book, I didn't publish it." So man, like
backpedaling too.
Yeah. I mean, totally. So there's a lot of that, but yeah, it's like it's such a badly written book that I don't fault anyone for not reading it because, I mean, my cultural biases aside, it's a terrible piece of fiction. It's just like it just